Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Vinati Organics Limited Q2 FY22 earnings conference call hosted by Kotak Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. Participants, please note this conference call will be for 30 minutes due to time constraints. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Ritesh Gupta from Kotak Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Nirav. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Vinati Organics Q2 FY22 conference call. We have with us management of Vinati Organics, Mrs. Vinati Sarafoot-Reja, CEO of the company, Mr. Kaviraj Devaraj, GM Finance, with us to discuss the quarterly results and the future outlook. I'll hand over the call to Ms. Vinati. Just note that this is a 30-minute call due to time constraints, so we'll have to wrap up the Q&A in that period. Thanks so much, and over to you, Vinati.
Yeah, thank you, Ritesh. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll just give you all a brief on the operational performance of Q2 FY22 before opening up the floor for Q&A. I'll start with the main product, our largest product, ATBS. As we have continued to see strong sales in Q1 as well as in Q2 of FY22. In fact, now recording the highest ever quarterly sales for ATBS. And like we have been guiding earlier, we expect ATBS to remain strong in the second half also. The demand outlook remains very positive. Coming to butyl phenols, our new product, we have seen good traction in Q2. In fact, in the first half of this year, we have done about 80 crores of revenue from butyl phenols, and I expect to end the year with about 200 crores of revenues coming in from butyl phenols. Now, coming to our erstwhile product, isobutyl benzene. In fact, as of today, it accounts for less than 10% of our revenue. And in fact, the operations at Mahad for IBB were heavily impacted due to the floods in July in that area. This resulted in lower sales as well as affected the EBITDA margins, EBITDA numbers also by about 8-9 crores, which we had not accounted for, even though there is the loss of profit insurance which we have claimed, but we will account for that as and when the claim is settled. The ibuprofen demand also, unfortunately, is quite slow this year. Actually, what happened FY21, the offtake was quite high. As a result of that, there has been a lot of stocks available to our customers for IBB as well as to their customers for ibuprofen. I expect the demand to pick up starting maybe FY23, that is April 22 onwards. Coming to other products, our other products like isobutylene, MTB, IB derivatives, they continue to do well this year. We also expect our customized synthesis products to add in about 100 crores of revenue this year as it did last year. Overall, for the company, we are expecting a sales growth of about 50% this year with EBITDA margins of 30%. In FY23, we are further expecting 30% revenue growth, mainly driven by butyl phenols, the antioxidants, as well as some growth in ATBS. Just giving a brief update on the VAPL, the antioxidant amalgamation scheme. We have received the NOC from the stock exchanges, and now we are in the process of filing our application with NCLT, post which we will require the shareholders' approval. The entire process we expect it to get completed in the next 4 to 5 months. Accordingly, when the VAPL, the antioxidant plant, is expected to start operations somewhere in the middle of February or maybe March next year. It will start contributing to revenue from FY23 onwards, and we expect to achieve full capacity utilizations of sales of about 500 crores over a period of 2 years or so. We have also recently commissioned our first 6.5 megawatt solar power plant. That of course, gives an ROI of about 15 to 20%, but it is more just in line with our green initiatives and sustainability initiatives. And we have further taken approval of another 7 to 8 megawatts, especially given how high coal prices have become. I think this is a step in the right direction for our company. Just to update on some of the other capex plans, we are further going to do a capex of about 300 crores, which comprises of 5 to 6 niche specialty chemicals. These chemicals will cater to various segments such as agrochemicals, fragrance industry, as well as plastics and polymer industries. The revenue potential of these products is also about 300 crores. That's actually all from my side, and I can now take any questions as there may be.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The first question is from the line of Surya Patra from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity, ma'am. First question would be, as you mentioned about the 5-6 new product opportunities within capex of 300 crore that you mentioned, can you add some color to that, ma'am? Like whether these are like intermediate product having application in those areas that you mentioned, are you integrated for that, and anything on that in terms of margin profile or profit profile, and when do you think that is a kind of incremental business that would be added to our business?
Yeah, see, these are all niche specialty chemicals. A couple of them are obviously for vertical forward integration of our existing products. Some are not related to our existing products, but it's a process that we have developed and successfully run pilot plants of. Some are also horizontal products, which may be other butyl phenols as well as other antioxidants. I cannot name these products because just keeping in mind the sensitivity, of the nature of this industry. But revenue potential is, almost 1:1 of the capex. Like I mentioned, we expect incremental revenues of 300 crores. Now, of course, this capex will take at least a year to come on stream. And these products, to reach their full potential take another 1 to 2 years. As far as the ROI goes, it is in line with our previous investments. These are all having an ROI of 15 to 20%. Okay. In the industries, these products that go into, these are all intermediate chemicals. We will be supplying to other chemical manufacturers in agrochemicals, in the fragrance industry, in the polymer industry, plastic industry.
Okay. We'll be we'll be backward integrated with the existing line of product, or it would be a separate chain of activity only that we will be seeing, ma'am? And whether it is contracted or it would be contracted with existing customer or something on that front?
No, these are not contracted, and this is not a backward integration. It's either a horizontal or a forward integration.
Sure. Okay, ma'am. Just second question, on the cost structure side, so obviously there is a kind of a meaningful impact that we are witnessing at the gross margin level because of the industry scenario what we are witnessing, and also a couple of factors that you mentioned. So do you really see some kind of normalization in the cost structure and you reaching back to a kind of, if not your peak margin profile, but margins beyond that 30% what you mentioned, or the 30% margin what you had mentioned, is it factoring the kind of a pressure point of the current year? It has nothing to do with the next year guidance, something on that.
See, I just feel this 30% EBITDA margin is more sustainable over the long run. I'm not accounting for any, I'm not hoping or expecting any costs to come down or expenses to come down. If they do, then maybe this margin might improve, but I don't want to take a call on that. I just want to base it on the numbers as is. Also, please realize, see, in butyl phenol especially, we are a new entrant in this market. So we have to sell at lower margins to grab market shares. And in fact, that used to be the case in ATBS also initially when we first started. Only as the industry sees consolidation and once we have established ourselves as a significant supplier with other customers, then one can start commanding a premium. That is how these products work.
Sure, ma'am.
I don't want to give a very, over-promise in terms of margins.
Sure, definitely, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks for the response. And just last question on the IVD.
Sorry to interrupt you. May I request you to come back in the question queue?
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Amar Mourya from Alpha Accurate Advisors. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Vinati, for the opportunity. So couple of questions. Number one is, as you indicated that, viral additives, basically the production will start in 23. Can you give us the update about 4 new products which we had announced? They were likely to start by Q3. So those timelines remain intact, or they are also going to get shifted?
Okay. No, so couple of those products which were to start in Q3 this year, they have been delayed. That is actually part of the 300 crore capex that I mentioned. And those are expected to start by March or let's say April 22. The delay, of course, has been on account of COVID. Especially in the months of April, May, June, etc.
Okay.
Actually, viral additives also you asked, that plant is expected
300 crore CapEx बोला ना?
Production in February.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. You were saying that viral additive plant is going to start in February, right?
Yes.
Okay, so basically you are saying that contribution will come starting from the next year.
That's right.
And ma'am, one important question which I just had is that the ATBS prices in second quarter, the finished goods prices I'm talking about, would have witnessed an increase compared to the first quarter?
Not necessarily. I think the raw material prices remain more or less the same.
Okay, so if the raw material price is same and finished goods prices are also same, then I'm just trying to understand that the dip in margin.
There has been a volume growth in ATBS as well as butyl phenol.
Understood. So in that case, why our second quarter revenue is flat compared to the first quarter? If there is a volume growth and prices are steady?
Because of the shutdown of the Mahad plant due to the floods in the entire month, for almost a month.
How much is the revenue loss for that?
Yeah, we lost about 30 crores of revenue on account of those floods and maybe 10 crores of EBITDA on account.
Okay, so basically going forward, therefore, if you normalize it, it becomes about roughly 380, 390 crores is kind of a quarterly run rate revenue. That's what you are trying to say.
Yes, you can infer that.
Great. Thank you, ma'am. We'll come back in queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rajesh Kothari from Alpha Accurate. Please go ahead. Rajesh Kothari, may I request you to unmute your line from your side and go ahead with the question, please?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
So, I'm just trying to understand that over the next, 3-4 years, how do you see the, the revenue trajectory? And do you think once your phenol, butyl phenol, which when it gets settled, you will come back to 35% margin? Because just 1 quarter back, your guidance was 30 to 35. And, it was more on the upper end rather than lower end. and now we are targeting 30%. So I'm a little bit confused that what has changed in last 3 months.
I think what the analysts focus more on is the margin as a percentage of revenue. Now, what we focus on is trying to keep the rupees per kg intact. Say, for example, we are just hypothetically say we are making 50 rupees per kg on a particular product. The product sells for 100 rupees and 50 rupees is my cost. Now, when the cost increases from 50 to 75, my price increases only from 100 to 125, and then that margin percentage instead of 50% becomes 33%. And that is what is happening this year compared to the previous years where you are saying the margin was very high. So because the costs have increased, and even though we are able to pass on that cost to our customers, obviously the margin as a percentage will come down, right, on the base. It's just math.
Okay.
It does not really reflect, it does not mean that the company's performance is impacted because the rupees per kg for the product has remained intact.
So are you trying to say that from fourth quarter to September quarter, when I look at your EBITDA, even if I adjust for 8 crores, so it becomes 111 crores, 100 crores in fourth quarter. So are you trying to say that your EBITDA per ton has remained constant and the volume growth was only about 5, 7, 8%?
I'm not sure if the volume growth for ATBS has been very high over the last 4 quarters. In fact, even butyl phenol volume growth has been there. The only place where the volume growth is impacted is the IBB.
No, ma'am, what I'm saying is, sorry, I'm just trying to understand a little bit more. I'm saying if I look at your fourth, because see, last year was impacted quarter 1Q, 2Q is not the right benchmark, am I right? Fourth quarter it became more like a normal quarter for the entire industry.
Yeah,
last year fourth quarter, your EBITDA was roughly about 87, 88 crores, and this year second quarter, your EBITDA is roughly about 90, 92 crores. So from 83 to 93, what I'm trying to understand is, which is about 10-12% growth. That's the only volume growth. That's what you are saying. I'm comparing with fourth quarter, not from last year to.
My EBITDA is showing as 115 crores. I don't know what EBITDA number you are talking about.
Before other income. I'm talking about before other income.
So you remove the other income, then it is about 102 crores.
106 crores.
Yeah.
97 to 106 crores, am I right?
So there is a growth in EBITDA from 83 to 106 crores.
So that's the volume growth. That's what you are saying.
That is the volume growth. That's right, yeah.
Okay. Fine. Got it. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohit Nagraj from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Can you provide us a Q2 revenue breakup in terms of ATBS, IBV, butyl phenols and others?
See, actually, I will give it to you very broadly. ATBS is about 50% of the sales mix. IBB is less than 10%. Butyl phenols is also around 10%. HP, MTB and other products, they account for another 20-25%.
Okay, thank you. And in terms of capex, if you could just let us know the capex for FY22 and 23 and resultant potential. You just mentioned about the 300 crore capex for new products. Beyond that, if you could just let us know about it. Thank you.
See, FY23, the capex will be, say, around 250 or maybe 200 to 225 out of that. The remaining 75 crores capex is being done now in FY22.
Right. So for FY22 and...
Actually, the right way to look at it is that even the VAPL should also be considered as a capex, because obviously assuming that the amalgamation scheme goes through, then that's another 300 crores of assets which the company will be acquiring rather.
Right. So Viral will be 300, and beyond that, organic for Vinati will be about 300 crores. Is that the right assumption?
That's right, yeah. But Viral CapEx is already done. That's already made.
Correct. And just one clarification. You mentioned on the top line 50% growth, but EBITDA is a function of per kg margin. So if you could just provide how much growth in EBITDA, absolute EBITDA, that we expect in conjunction with the top line growth for this year?
EBITDA growth, it will be 30% of the revenue this year. We expect to do about 1,500 crores of revenue. So what was the EBITDA last year that you had? 330 crores or so? 330 or so. So the EBITDA growth becomes 50% of 45%.
All right. Fair enough. Thank you so much, and best of luck.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pavas from Enam Asset Management. Please go ahead.
And thanks for the opportunity. Just wanted to understand this revenue guidance. We are already at a 400 crores run rate for the quarter if I adjust for the one-time loss of Mahad. So that again takes you to the 800 crores second half revenue. So putting these together, it should be 60% plus revenue growth this year itself.
Yeah, it may be, but see again, now if revenue is also a function of price. Now if the raw material prices start falling, then sales prices will start falling. That is why I was just saying 1,550 crores to be conservative.
Okay, so on a steady state scenario, it should be closer to 1,600 crores.
That's right, yeah, if the prices don't change.
Sure. Thanks. That's all from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rishabh Duggar from CD Equisearch. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. So I just want to know that what, according to you, are barriers to entry, if any, for ATBS business globally?
See, first of all, in ATBS, it's a patented technology. Secondly, we have, the old mover or first mover advantage. We have economies of scale. Today we have a 40,000 ton plant, which is very integrated. We are the only manufacturer of ATBS that we make our own raw material ice cream. Our process is also very unique. We make a lot of value-added products from the waste stream of ATBS. We make various different grades of ATBS. So all this has given us a good moat for this business, and that is what I see is the barrier to entry.
Okay, so when you talk about your manufacturing processes, so I just want to know that what sort of specialization you have gained by manufacturing ATBS for last year, for manufacturing ATBS specifically?
See, the fact that we have over 65 to 70% market share, the fact that the pioneer of this product had to exit the product because they couldn't compete with us on price, the fact that we are able to export ATBS in China even though there's a manufacturer in China, and the fact that nobody else has been successful in developing or making ATBS in the last 10 years, I think is proof enough of our manufacturing abilities. Now, I can't come out and divulge what innovations I have made, right? Because that will be foolish on my part.
Okay, so are there any substitutes for ATBS available in the market?
See, ATBS is used in conjunction with other monomers like acrylamide, acrylic acid, but the price point at which ATBS is available and the benefits that it adds to the polymers in terms of stability under high pressure and high temperature environment, none of those other monomers are able to provide at this price.
Okay. So I just want to know that when...
Rishabh, sorry to interrupt you. I'll request you to come back, please. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dhavan Shah from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, ma'am. So I have a question related to volume and realization growth. So would it be possible to share this volume and realization growth for this quarter in the first half for the group?
No, we have not actually bifurcated the sales. as per volume and the realization numbers.
Okay. But would it be fair to assume that majority would be a realization or volume? I mean,
No,
you can share some.
volume actually.
Okay. Okay. And would it be possible to share the gross margin based on the different segments like the ATBS, IBP, or butyl phenol? Because, I think if the price growth is there and, the ATBS is...
But I cannot share those numbers.
Yeah. So I just wanted to understand based on the gross margin basis, because, I think if we have taken some price growth plus, ATBS is the margin accretive business.
But I have not taken any price growth in my projection numbers. I have not taken any price growth. When I say 50% growth or 30% growth the year after that, I am not assuming any price growth.
No, I just wanted to understand about this quarter gross margin. So basically, the 70% YY growth in the revenue is mainly driven from the realization growth, right? Sorry, volume growth is also there. And I think the ATBS is the margin accretive business. So I think the product mix should have also driven, the higher delta in terms of the gross margin improvement. So I just wanted to understand that differentiation, if you can help. I mean, ATBS...
See, butyl phenols, IBB, all those products are margin dilutive. And so butyl phenols revenue growth actually dilutes the margins, right?
Right. And was there any EBITDA loss in IBB this quarter?
EBITDA loss? No.
Yes.
In what sense? We have done very good positive EBITDA of 150.
No, on IBB segment I'm talking about. In IBB.
No, there was no loss in the quarter because August, September IBB sales picked up, but because the plant was shut down for 1 month, the loss of revenue was about 30 crores, and yes, the loss of EBITDA was about 10-11 crores, but we have loss of profit insurance in all our products, so we have claimed that. In fact, we have not accounted for the claim as being conservative. So once that claim is settled, maybe say 70-80% of that, then that will get added to the EBITDA.
Got it, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, that will be the last question for today. I will now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
No, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I look forward to our conference call next quarter.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Kotak Securities Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us. You may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.